Welcome to our monthly masterclass. Today we get to hear from our virtual chapter NACWE sister, Michelle Jacobik, on today's Financial Foundations Masterclass, how to break free from the month-to-month cycle and create financial stability even in unpredictable markets. So if you are new here, I am Lindsay Martin, your Chief of Operations, to our President, Heather Rawson. So if you are new, just pop new in the chat so we can welcome you. And we're just going to go over a few announcements, pray, and then turn it over to our expert in the room. Just really quickly, our program represents opinions of guest speakers and participants, and content is informational only and should not replace professional or legal advice specific to your circumstances. And ultimately, we encourage you to consult the Holy Spirit for direction in your life. So quick shout out to all of our newest and returning members in last week, Roxanne, Pamela, Diane, and Robin. Special shout out to Diane, who is in the Zoom room right now. I get to hug her often at Tucson events here in our hometown. So if you see these amazing ladies online, please give them a heartfelt hello. And in case you didn't know, we are on a mission in 2025 to get to 1,000 members strong, and not for the sake of numbers, but so that we can refer each other, so that literally we have somebody in hopefully every quadrant that we need. So of life, of businesses to refer to. So, and once again, if you are a paid NACWE member, you have access to our members portal at NACWEmembers.com, where you can find all the replays, power pages, any other bonuses specific to your membership. Just use the same email address you enrolled with your membership, and you can always do a forgot password. November 17th is our next online speed networking. If you have friends that are wanting to be a part of the community, definitely invite them to this. Just have them register at that link there. For our December masterclass, we will hear from certified life coach Sarah Webb, so you won't want to miss that. Our November virtual networking, we will have member speaker spotlight Dr. Alexis Sams. Her message will be about making chronic symptoms make sense, the one truth that turns confusion into clarity. She is our food allergy specialist. And then her Bold Voice speaker playbook webinar is coming up. I think this is the last session they're actually doing this Monday. So if you are interested in speaking, you definitely want to, there is the link. Again, all of this is on the calendars. And then CC360 is coming up in Orlando, Florida, January 16th. There is the link and information for that. That is for all content creators and authors, speakers, podcasters, any entrepreneur with a kingdom mission. This is an event designed specifically for you to amplify your voice. It is at PodFest, so it's like a conference within a conference. So your ticket to CC360 includes your PodFest ticket to go to any of the other expo events going on that week. So definitely check out that link and for all the details. All in, we are selling tickets for next year. You definitely want to be in the room for that. Lastly, here are basically all the announcements at a glance. Feel free to take a screenshot. Again, it is on the NACWE calendar, NACWE.org/upcoming events. And these are all of our new and upcoming chapters. Shout out to Keishelle in Long Beach. She has her big official launch this Saturday, so please pray for her. Leadership team comes around her and they have a nice launch. And otherwise, again, all of our socials can be found there. Our NACWE inspirational verse this month comes from Proverbs 3:9-10. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing and your vats will brim over with new wine. And our NACWE inspirational quote this month is stewardship is strategy with surrender. When we honor God's plan, provision follows. I love that because when we let God lead our plans, the pressure lifts and it just lets the provision follow. All right, so let's pray. Father God, thank you for gathering us today. Thank you for these women of purpose, of vision and faith. Lord, you are our provider and the source of all wisdom. As we learn from Michelle, open our minds to your understanding and guide our hearts with divine direction. Let every idea align with your will and that our work bring peace, purpose, and gratitude for your provision. Lord, we ask that you bless the work of our hands or keyboards and multiply the seeds we sow. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen. So without further ado, I'll stop sharing so that Michelle can, but Michelle Jacobik is a powerhouse. She is a business strategist, award-winning author, motivational speaker whose journey from debt to a seven-figure business inspires entrepreneurs everywhere. She equips leaders with practical, faith-aligned strategies to build profitable businesses without sacrificing balance or purpose. So please help me welcome her. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies, it's so great. I'm hearing all the dings, right? As I'm letting you in the room and Lindsay's like leading. And so I was just getting more and more excited about the opportunity to serve you today. So thank you so much for taking the time to spend this next hour with me and together. Lindsay, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here today, you guys, to talk about a strategy that empowers you to break free from the month-to-month money cycles and actually create financial consistency, even in unpredictable markets or seasons, right? I'm here in Naples, Florida, been here for 4 years, transplanted from Connecticut, and I'm learning what season means in the Florida marketplace, right? Very heavy tourist town. And I'm learning that their unpredictable market is all summer. So here's the thing, if you're a business owner and you feel like you are always living sale to sale, month to month, you're not alone. And it's honestly not your fault. Most business owners have been taught how to promote their products and services. They've got a lot of passion behind it and what they're doing, and they've got vision and the inspiration to come out and be of service, right? But they've never been taught a system to help manage their money in between those sales. And that's what I want to help you fix today. So if you're tired of living the month to month, I don't like the paycheck to paycheck because I think for entrepreneurs it's month to month, or stressing over cash flow, this workshop is for you. This masterclass is for you. And I'm just grateful that you're here today. By the end of our time together, I want to provide you guys a clear path to learn how to smooth out your income so that you actually can stress less. But before we get into the details, I really do want to tell you a little bit about who I am and how I actually know this. So, as Lindsay said, my name is Michelle Jacobik, and I am an expert in money, business, and finance. I'm the author of The Path to Profits, an entrepreneur's guide to having it all and still having a life. And you'll see the book on the side of that is called Prosperity After Divorce. Take charge of your finances and recreate the life you want using lifestyle redesign planning. So I've been able to pen my own experiences into the pages for to help other women and business owners and people moving through planned and unplanned transitions around this situational thoughts and processes around money. So like you guys, I've actually been working at creating income for myself and in self-employment roles since the age of 23. So I understand exactly what it's like to experience those feast or famine cycles that come with entrepreneurship and inconsistent income. But here's the thing, it wasn't always that way for me. When I was 19 years old, I left out of the house ready to take on the world. I had a huge vision board. I had it plastered with every material thing that you could imagine, the vacations, the nice car. I even had a private jet on there. Okay, I'm not going to lie. At the same time that I left out of the house at 19, Visa and MasterCard showed up as my angel investors. They were right in the mailbox, confirming for me that my sense of adulthood was validated. Okay. And here's what happened. I grabbed those cards, I ran them up. I also grabbed some payday loans. I don't know if you guys remember payday loans where your name came with the in the Sharpie, it had your name on them, and you simply just went to the bank and cashed them. And then it started the APR game. I actually mastered the APR swap game, as many people have learned to do, right? Moving balances from one card to another to avoid maxing out, and then opening up that card to do all the things that I was doing, right? And the truth is that I did that for the first 2.5 years of being on my own until it was game over. I had no more credit. I was completely maxed out. I had dug myself into a huge financial hole. Like in that day and age, right? It was not normal to have 15, $20,000 for the credit card debt at 20 something years old. So I spent the next 3 years working two jobs to pay off my debt. And by the way, guys, I was in financial services. And I guess when you hear the saying, keeping up with the Joneses, that's exactly what I was doing, but there were no Joneses. All of my friends were in college. Okay. I went to community college. So for me, it was more of keeping up with whatever this version of big life I was chasing. Okay. So I had a big hole that I was trying to fill, but I also then ended up with a big hole that I had to end up working two extra jobs outside of financial services to be able to get myself out of debt. Here's what I learned. I learned at that early age that financial consistency is actually what leads to financial stability. It wasn't about how much money I made, it was about how I was managing it, or in my case, not managing it. Once I actually created a system to take my cash flow and actually pay down the debt, tell the dollars where to go before they got here, everything changed. It took me 2.5 years to get out of debt. I then started saving. And believe it or not, I ended up moving from financial services into property and casualty. And I ended up buying the property and casualty insurance agency that I worked for just 5 years later, once I got into that place of financial maturity. So, right before the age of 30, I ended up buying the company that I worked for. And over that next 10 years, I grew the agency from 1,100 customers to 7,600 customers, and from 600,000 in annual sales to over 12 million a year in annual sales. So that leap and that lifestyle redesign planning and that ability to really create some financial maturity in my life and a system made a huge difference. But now fast forward to 2009. Things are going really, really well. I was married, had two amazing kids, successful in business. And then in 2010, everything shifted. I got divorced and my life changed dramatically. Everything that we had built over 23 years was literally split in half. The retirement, the savings, the house, all of it, right? Everything was suddenly cut in half. And my expenses were higher. I had to rethink and reprioritize my life again to regain my financial footing. It was a complete like, holy crap, how am I going to do this? And so I had to step back. That's really what the path to prosperity after divorce is about, is how do you do that when you're moving through a planned or unplanned transition and reprioritizing your finances, and then also spirituality, your habits, your emotions, work, family, kids. And I felt like I was back to being 20 again because I started spending money, not prioritizing a plan, and I slipped backwards, right? I just thought, well, I just don't want to deal with it. But here's the thing, I had to. And what gave rise to the book is that I went right back to using the same systems that I had implemented, which really was around my lifestyle. It wasn't around the business. It was around my personal finances and the marriage between my personal finances and the business finances together. In 2014, I realized that the price that I was paying to be as successful as I was really taking a toll on both my health, my kids, and they needed more and I needed more. I made a decision after praying on it for a couple of years, probably sooner. I should have made the decision, but I prayed really hard and God was calling me in a new direction and I knew it. And I made a decision to step away from my business. I took an exit from the insurance agency. And once again, what do you think I had to do? I had to make financial choices and changes in order to make that transition. But here's the thing, I had built financial consistency, right? And because I had done that and I had a visual plan for my money, both personally and on the business side, I actually had the breathing room to step back and make those choices with confidence. And I think that's the power of the financial consistency. It actually gives you the freedom and the control to actually answer those calls and more control over your life, right? I don't know about you guys, but I think a lot of time I work with a lot of women and we tend to have this like, I would call it a fear gland. When mine is on fire, I literally could knock you out of the room. Okay. It comes right here out and it just, so for me, having financial consistency and financial stability is important to me because I'm very centered and I'm able to show up better as a wife today. I'm able to lead better. I'm not in this constant sense of like fear and insecurity and worry. And that's really what I know is available to us when we come into this place of looking at our money and not being in this state of financial avoidance, right? So that led me to becoming deeply interested in how to serve others and teaching them how to create financial stability, even in unpredictable circumstances, whether it's business, divorce, being widowed, right? I've had women come up to me at workshops that have lost their children to overdoses and they're like, "Can you help me? I haven't opened the mail in 4 months," right? Anything that's unpredictable can take our legs out. And yes, we can lean to our faith, but we also need to be able to lean on each other and find those places of support. So, through studying, experience, and working with many clients, I realized that I could transfer and teach other people this system that actually creates the financial consistency, and now I share it with others. And regardless of market fluctuations, I know that I can help people feel more secure in their businesses. Over the last 8 years, I've helped clients pay off more than $750,000 of debt and save more than a $500,000. And it's just the beginning. Like God is just using me now in this last 5 years to support people with this work. And the thing that I know is that life is not linear for any of us, but when we have a plan and we have our faith and when we can control our buying decisions, we don't lose our financial footing when life happens. Truth be told, and if any of you have gone through Financial Peace University, you've probably heard this before. I led FPU back in 2013, 2014. It's a thing that I think God used to call me into this space. We are the richest nation in the world, but we do have the lowest savings rate. 66% of Americans today are living paycheck to paycheck. 24% of the take-home pay is going towards consumer loan payments and debt instead of actually building savings. Most people are earning enough, but they're also spending a lot too. And what happens is they're working harder and longer because they didn't build up enough of a nest egg. And money that could have been going to investments is being used to pay off credit card debt instead. So, guys, this is not meant to be a doom and gloom session. Okay, it's not what you came for. But I'd be, remiss to not share those hard facts. And most of it happens because people are in a state of financial avoidance. And I'm passionate about pulling people out of financial avoidance. So I want to talk with you guys today about the four most important things that I feel are necessary for you to actually start creating less stress around your money, even when the market fluctuates or life does happen on life's terms. So are you ready for that? Okay, let me share my screen. Hold on. Let me open this up. And okay, can you see that, Linz?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. Great. So here's the thing. I want to share four different things. The truth is that most entrepreneurs' financial reality is what I call financial whiplash. Okay. One great month followed by months of stress. One big month doesn't actually mean financial security. Most people don't have a system, as I said, to manage their income strategically throughout the year. And what happens is they're in this constant state of anxiety. When is my next sale? When is my next winning month? Stressing about money that then eventually takes a toll on our health. And I know it did for me. So I'm speaking, I'm preaching to the choir here. So the truth is that over and over, what I see is that financial stress is affecting people's lives in four different ways. Strained relationships, right? Tension with a spouse or partner because of inconsistent income, disagreements about spending and saving. Maybe you're an avoider and you're like, yep, well, it'll all work itself out. Or maybe you're the person who's really feeling like we've got to hold on to everything and I can't have the confidence to invest in things because it may not work. Or I may not have enough and I might find myself falling short, not being able to take care of next month's expenses. The second thing is lack of confidence, right? I see people have that fear of investing in their marketing or their growth because of the unpredictable cash flow. The third thing is burnout and overworking. This was me, feeling forced to say yes to everything because I've got to grow the business. I've got to have money coming in. I've got to make sure that I've got a financial foundation. I've got to take care of the 22 women that worked for me at the insurance agency. It was a lot, right? And the third thing is missed opportunities. When we're in a place of financial stress or financial avoidance, as I like to call it, We miss opportunities. We're actually unable to say yes to the things that would make a difference in our business or in our lives. So that is how financial stress could be affecting you today. Okay. But the truth is that here's what I see. The real problem, as I said, is it was for me, it's not how much you're making or not making, it's how you're managing it when you're bringing it in. Without structure, entrepreneurs tend to overspend in good months and then struggle in the slow months. Have you guys been there? Yeah. The cycle, we have a great month. It feels like a bonus month. We have a spending spree. We panic 2 months later, right? And then we're desperate for that next client, the next launch, the next whatever it is that's going to bring cash flow in. But the truth is that there is a solution. We've got to move from reactionary money management into a proactive system that actually creates the stability. So I want to talk with you quickly. I'm going to share an example. One of my clients, Allie, okay, she was a six-figure entrepreneur, six figures plus, who was broke. And this is very common. People come to me and they're like, I'm doing really well, but I'm broke. I don't get it. 2 years ago, I was making 50K. Now I'm hitting 200,000. I'm still broke. This is what happened with Allie. In 2020, when COVID hit and all of the real estate agents thought the housing market was going to go to crap, the housing market did really, really well. And she went from having a $42,000 a year to a $250,000 a year. It was her best year in real estate commissions. Okay. And now the momentum had started, and she thought financial success is guaranteed. And then the market slowed down last year. Okay. And she went 3 months with zero closings, no cash flow, no safety net. And she went right back to using the credit cards because there wasn't enough coming in. There wasn't cash reserve. She had already burned through that because she made really good money. She owed the IRS more money, owed the state more money. And so she found herself in that place of here I am back in the same spot that I felt like I was in prior to moving from, 6 times her income. So she started using credit cards again, $25,000 in credit card. She cut her marketing. She depleted her savings. She came to me in 2024, and now finally, after 18 months, she's back in the recovery space, right? A long and painful climb back out to financial stability where it was really scary for her to address it, but she knew if she didn't, she was just going to go back to the same cycle, and she knew that something had to change. So here's what I want to say. Most times when people are in a position of being in the same cycle, okay, I call it the crazy cycle, by the way, um, they think it's a go big or go home. I'll do it when. How many of us have said, I'll do that when I get to this point? I'll do that when. And I want to tell you that it isn't all or nothing. You can make a one change today, one decision today to change something. And when you ground yourself in that decision, the momentum with a small shift and that first decision actually could make all of the difference in how you end your year and how you start 2026. So I want you to know that it isn't a go big or go home. Okay. And the truth is that to move away from the month to month financial stressor, you just have to become more financially savvy. And as I said in the beginning, most people haven't been taught how to be savvy. We haven't been taught personal finance unless we jumped into a class like Financial Peace University or read a book and really taught ourselves because it's not taught in school. But we have to become more financially savvy, and that's the invitation. So, how do you do that? There's four things that I feel are important to creating financial savvy. One, you've got to get clear about your top life and financial goals. Like, what do you actually want to create? The second thing is completing a thorough lifestyle assessment. And because you're entrepreneurs and businesswomen, it means that you have to assess both the personal and the business because believe it or not, they are married together and you can't look under one hood and not look under the other. The third thing is reclaiming your dollars, like really looking at the dollars that are going out and reassessing, and then reclaiming some of those dollars and pointing them in a new direction. And then also activating new dollars. I want to add that too. And then the fourth thing is creating and designing a plan, a workable plan to help you get to the goals. Okay. So I always say that the vision, the thing that you want to create, what you want the life by design is the first thing that you do. I truly believe that the vision activates the money. That when you're really clear about how you're grounding yourself in what you want to create, what you want your life to look like when you're coming from that place of core values and vision and faith, that is the structure for which you're making your decisions and actually activating the services that you're going to offer. But if you're not clear about what you want that to look like, you may just be throwing spaghetti at the wall and may not be really calling in, right? Nancy's like, right? She's like, yep, I've seen this. And so it's really important that you start with your vision, okay? And in the Path to Profits, I write about this. The opening pillar is vision. And there's all kinds of exercises that you can walk through and and it's a perfect time of year that you guys are doing this little masterclass because you can plant some time aside in your calendar between now and the end of the year and really get into the juice of what that vision would look like. So here's what happens. I want to be clear that it isn't just about the vision for your business, right? You guys have probably all seen this at some point if you've done any level of personal development or faith development. There is this cycle of like, it's not all one thing. It's got to be a combination of things, right? So when I run my Envision event, which is coming up in another week and a half, I move people through this exercise of really measuring, scoring themselves 1 through 10 in these different pillars of life: health and body, emotional and spiritual and personal growth, your intimate relationships, your social and fun, business and vocation, community and giving. It's not just business. Like, where would you score yourself on each of these things 1 through 10? 10 being the best, one being, oh my gosh, I'm doing nothing for my health and body. Okay. And the first thing is just having an awareness, that self-awareness of where you are, so that you can then make this decision about where you are now and where you would like to be as you move towards 2026 and bring that stuff into focus. So it really is about envisioning a life that you would love. Your vision and your goals are essential to knowing where you want to go. And they should be motivating you. They should be measurable, like you know which ones are the priority. You balance them out as best you can. But I want you, when you're thinking about your vision and goals, I want you thinking 3 to 5 years, not just one, right? So I do have a vision board and it is a 3 year vision board, okay? It is not just a 1 year because the truth is that life does happen on life terms, right? And my priorities, I just had a new grandbaby, you guys, like 15 days ago. And you can imagine that my priorities this upcoming year are completely, I mean, talk about full on joy. My priorities, I will look at this vision board and I see giggles on here, by the way. I'm so excited because it's a little girl and we are going to giggle like crazy. But there will be things on that board that if I was so focused on my 1 year goals, that I may not be present for the moment, right? For the joy. And it's so great that I just saw the word giggles there because it's making me laugh. And I think that's what a vision board does. It's taking things that are motivating and measurable and the things that you want to create, doing the work first, and then pulling in to your visual, into prayer, into journaling, into the visual pieces of what it is you want to create. And there it is staring at you, right? That you're motivated and you're seeing like your life by design put together. So I think it's important that you think in terms of 3 to 5 years. I think one of the other pieces, as you saw on the wheel, that I want you thinking about your top financial goals. So I want you to grab a pen for a minute and a paper, and I'm going to pull up here a list of goals that are financial in nature. And I want you to write down the top three that you see. Okay, so I have developing a money spending plan, AKA budget. I like the word plan. Personal debt elimination, establishing an emergency fund or a savings fund. And by the way, that if you're a business owner, so that is both personal and cash reserves for your business. So is that a priority for you? Estate planning, wills and trust, retirement planning, and college planning, or maybe it's even paying off. I say personal debt elimination, it might be personal debt elimination, college is included in that. So I want you to just write down your top three. I'm not going to ask you to share them, but I want you to have a visual of, as you're thinking about this upcoming year, what would you prioritize around your finances as something that would be something that you would be wanting to change and improve. Okay. So that should be something that you guys all have in view as you come into the next year. Okay. So my secret formula to the path to stopping stress is actually hidden in a word that you should know as a business owner: profit. Okay. I love acronyms because it makes it easy for me. I do Mondays, I do money, marketing, and meetings. Okay, it's easier to remember. Profit should be easy for you to remember. And I'm going to make sure that Lindsay gets the slideshow so that you guys will have a copy of the slideshow and the deck so you can go back through it if it's helpful. So P is paying yourself consistently. Okay, establishing your financial baselines of what it is you need the business to actually do. What is the paycheck? Looking at the whole picture, defining clear and measurable targets for your income and your business growth really is the most important thing to you actually paying yourself consistently. If you don't know what you need to create to actually bring in your portion of the lifestyle overhead, and we're going to talk about that in a future slide. If you're single, it's all you, right? It's very easy to figure out. But if you're a couple, then there has to be this formulation, and I'll be sharing that with you in a future slide, of knowing how much you're responsible to bring in. I'll hear people say over and over, don't create a job for yourself. If you're a business owner, don't create a job for yourself. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you do need to create a paycheck for yourself. Okay? I want you to grow, I want you to scale, and all of the things that people talk about. I don't want you to become a monster to the business and hold on to everything so that you can't scale, but I want to make sure that you're paying yourself consistently. The R is reduce unnecessary spending. A lot of times this is actually what as how you start to stop the stress. You actually look at the things that you're doing, come out of financial avoidance and make a different decision. Okay. You create automatic systems to help build escrow into your lifestyle plan and your business planning. And again, the budget is the plan. O is owning your numbers, tracking and reviewing, setting a monthly time to review your cash flow and your projections. As I said, I do money, marketing, and meetings on Monday. And so once a month, usually the 10th of the month, when my bookkeeper sends me what I need, if it isn't you, you got to just know who's sending it to you. That Monday, that's after the 10th of the month or the week of the 10th, is when I do my money review. But every week on Monday, I do a money review. I do my personal updates and so forth. So if you want to steal Money Monday, go ahead. Okay. It makes it easy because I can't let myself out because it's one of the things that's actually scheduled. Okay. F, fund an emergency buffer, reduce your unnecessary expenses and trim the fat. On the personal side, this means stop meaningless spending. On the business side, it means cut costs that don't actually directly contribute to your growth. If you belong to a networking group and you haven't been in 6 months, it's okay for you to cut the expense. If you are part of the Chamber of Commerce and you haven't been and you're not doing anything, cut the expense. It's okay for you to reshop your business insurance and not feel badly if the agent that you have only has one market because they're State Farm. It's okay. We've got to be looking at all of our costs in our businesses and then really looking to see if we can either, decide whether they contribute to the growth or whether we can reassess and then readjust and repoint those dollars. The I is intention. Be strategic not only with your money, but with your time. Okay. Many of us aren't spending the right time on the revenue generation activities that would actually change our scenario to begin with. And then T is tackle debt strategically. What I mean by that is this is what happens to many people when I start working with them one-on-one. They have debt to pay off. They have the IRS down their throat. They have it all in view. And now they've opened it up and they've shared it with somebody that's going to help them strategically solve the problem. And the first thing they want to do when they get that next good month or that closing, if it's a realtor, they get a closing and a $30,000 check comes in, they want to pay it off and make it go away. But what do you think happens? It's a vicious same cycle if we do that. So what I do is help people tackle the debt strategically. Instead of paying off the credit cards right away, there may be a positioning where we get a 0% card and consolidate, and then we have 16 months to pay it off, and we don't go back to the same cycle. My point here is that there are many ways that you might be able to attack the debt if you have it without just taking all of the cash and ending up in the same exact cycle. We can do both. We can actually have growth and crush the debt and do it at the same time. Okay. So, profit are the steps. Here's the truth. The average business owner that I talk to actually gets a check in. They have a great month. I'll just say a great month, right? Or they sign a new client. They go and maybe they host a master class or a webinar. They go to a conference and they're a speaker and they have a great closing ratio. Here's what happens. The money comes in and 85% of it gets put into their personal checking account. Okay. Um, 85% get a check and put 100% of it into their personal checking account because they've been waiting for the money to come in. So what happens is when you have that injection of cash that goes into your personal checking account and you're not separating the two, or even if it comes into the business and then you move it right away, it feels like a big fat bonus. And what happens is we then tend to spend and distribute it like it's a big fat bonus. Okay. So we want to make sure that you're moving away from putting all of the money, one, commingling the money. We don't want your money coming in from the business going into the personal checking. Even if you're a solopreneur, you need to have a separate business account so that you don't have commingling records. Somebody on here was doing accounting. I'm not sure who it was, but I saw it in the title. And I'm sure that they would validate that you, oh, here it is, Becky, right? Becky does tax advising. So she'd be the first to tell you, don't commingle the money. Okay. So what I want to remind you is that when the money comes in, yes, you've earned it, but it is not all yours, right? We need to take a portion of it and put it in for tax savings because the tax guy is coming. We want to have a portion of that into the business account, and then we want a portion into the personal checking account. Now, if you asked me to break it up into pieces, right? The reason I do this work individually is because I don't like blanketed statements, but I have to give you some idea of how you would break up a dollar. Okay. So in this case, as an example, I'm going to say to you, if you had a dollar come in, 33% into your tax account, 33% into your business account, and 34% into your checking account. That would be a safe, like a healthy ratio. But again, I moved to Florida from Connecticut. I don't have state tax anymore. So it would behoove me to know that my tax advisor is going to give me my marginal tax rate, and I'm going to bank off of that percentage. That's why I don't like blanketed pieces. I think you need to talk to your advisors and be looking at those pieces before you just kind of blanket across the fence. But in this case, what I do want is that you actually have an understanding that only 15% of entrepreneurs actually break up the money. They usually deposit it and then move it right over to the personal account. So what I want is for you to start thinking about the fact that you earned, let's say you had a $10,000 month, you earned it, but it's not all yours, right? 33% of that would be 3,300 to taxes, 33% in the business account to kind of keep some borders around what you're spending in the business. I have people that come into me that 80% of the money is going into the business because they've overstaffed, they've overexpensed, they've overinvested in the business. And even on the marketing side, they're spending 35% of their dollars overall during the year on marketing, and really 10% of the gross revenue is what I use as a benchmark. And so we have to reassess where the dollars are going and then make sure that there's enough. Okay. So if only 34% of your business income is going to the household, what does this mean? It means we need to know whether we're spending more than that, whether we need more than that to run the household, right? So let's just start from this perspective. The second step, which is completing a personal lifestyle and business cash flow assessment. It's about pulling back the curtains and bringing everything into view, even if it's scary. Because if you actually sit down and figure out what you need from the lifestyle design, what you have right now in place, it is easier for you to set your revenue goals and start to shoot towards the right things in 2026. So, how do you do that? I actually think this is a really, really great time of year to do that. Actually, there's no bad time of year to do this, but I think we're coming into a time where people are preparing. They're preparing for the end of the year. They're preparing to get their taxes together. They're preparing for their goals and the vision of the thing that they want to create in 2026. So this is a great time. What I would say to you is there's three steps. Step one is you've got to review your monthly bills. You've got to look and separate what are the things that are recurring. Okay. Most people come to me and they're doing this thing that I call yellow pad version of budgeting, where they write down all of their bills for the month, personal, the mortgage or the rent, the storage unit, the car insurance, the, renter's insurance, whatever it may be, the cell phone, all of the bills. And then they're kind of benchmarking like what they think their groceries are, what they think their gas is. We want to work with the real data. Okay. And I think the thing for me, what makes it so easy for me to support people is when you come to me, it's data to me. There's no emotional component. For you, it's emotional, right? But we really need to go under the hood and separate things. So what I say to people is don't go too deep and wide. Look at the last 90 days. Pull all of your personal banking for the last 90 days. Your checking, you're going to pull down all of your transactions, and every credit card that you have, you're going to pull the last 90 days. And you're going to review them. And the way that I have people break it up is there's two categories. There's recurring, the thing that happens every single month. Electric bill happens every single month, even if it fluctuates higher in the winter, higher in the summer if you have AC, lower in the winter. That's me in Florida. For you, it might be higher in the winter because you're turning on the heat if you have electric heat. But we want to have a list of all of your recurring bills and the average of what those were, or maybe your last, month, and then look to see if it went up and increased. What's recurring? And have a list of all of the recurring. Now, believe it or not, that is only going to make up for most people 30% of their lifestyle. The other 70% are the things that we don't necessarily see, and they kind of get hidden underneath the rock because we're not tracking them. So, the things that I'm talking about, the non-recurring things are groceries, gas, eating out, our spending money, home maintenance, home upkeep cost, clothing, personal care, fitness, kids' sports and camps, auto maintenance, medical out of pocket. I just ordered contacts, they're $140. I have an envelope for that. Okay. Vacations, gifts, all gifts, Christmas gifts, like I keep them in two separate categories. But when you're looking at your last 90 days, you're taking and getting a real average on these different categories. You're identifying what are my categories? What is the recipe that makes up my lifestyle? Okay. If you don't have kids, you don't have a kid category, right? If you're an empty nester. But if you do have kids and they're now back to school, and then you have school lunches, and then you've got fundraisers, and you've got all the sports and different things, and maybe you've got camps in the summer, you have to have that in view. Okay. So what you're trying to do is take a real good view of recurring and then your non-recurring, or what I call future planned expenses. They're coming, right? It is part of your lifestyle. Even if it didn't happen this month, you're going to start Christmas shopping. Okay. So it's coming. The auto repair is coming. So the first step is really identifying both personal and business, what those things are. And you're doing the same thing for the business. Step two is you're going to review your household income and outputs. Like, what actually are you responsible for? Okay. And the third is you've got to build a plan so that you can see it. So let me show you what this looks like. Okay. You're going to get these worksheets. At the end of my presentation, I'm actually going to put up a QR code, and I'm going to send you an Excel sheet, like an actual worksheet, where you can plug in all of your budgeted items, and it will actually add it all up for you and give you your total of the lifestyle design if you just take that data and drive that data into my spreadsheet. Okay, so that you have a full view. But again, what you're doing is these are just, if you open up the slide deck later, this is just reminding you, look at the recurring bills, write down the monthly total, multiply it by 12 so you know what the yearly is. And then you're going to go do all of your non-recurring, the spending and those future planned expenses. So for example, if you burn wood and you now at this time of year get 3 cords of wood delivered, wouldn't it have been nice if you had all year long had money every month put aside so that when you need the cord delivered, the cords of wood delivered, or the oil tank filled for this season of winter, that you're prepared for it? Okay. So the non-recurring and the spending categories is so important because it really does make up 70% of lifestyle. Again, once you get an average of what all of these things are monthly, multiply it by 12 and you'll know what your yearly need is. Okay. And then you can take and add together the recurring bills and the non-recurring to see what your yearly need is. Okay. And then here's what happens. Okay. You now have a view of your personal lifestyle design. In the case of Allie, I'm trying to move my screen here so I can see my screen. Her personal due dates, right? The personal bills were just under $3,000. Multiply that by 12, it was 34,314 for the year. That was her monthly recurring bills. Okay. Good Budget is the app that I use, and I'll pull it up later, is the envelope. I use a virtual envelope app. This is where all of the spending and the future planned expenses like auto repair, contacts, kids' camps, and all of that come to. When she added all of that up, it was again just under $3,000. So she was almost 50-50 in her lifestyle design. Multiply it by 12, her total lifestyle when we combined these two things was just over $70,000. Okay. We did the same thing for the business. We looked at her monthly bills for the business. They came to 40,548. And then we did envelopes, the things that were non-recurring in the business. And it was like eating out lunch, like coffee connects with people. And I think she had like postage on there. She doesn't do a lot of different things, but it was only 185 a month for her non-recurring because a lot of her business is subscription and monthly recurring. So 2220 a year. So her total business came to 44,146, meaning the combination between her personal life and the business is just under $120,000. That's the total of everything. Okay. That's her minimum. The business, you're doing the same exact thing. Okay. And I showed you that that's exactly what she did, and we came up with her number. So here's what happens. Okay. That's the personal lifestyle, is this 118 with the business. Now, let me show you what we looked at next. Okay. She knew the number, and if we had just stopped there, nothing would have changed. She knew the number, she would have had a revenue goal, her first bottom line, what's the floor versus the ceiling. But even when she had goals, she still felt like this because she didn't have any system for the money. Make sense? So here's the difference. What we want to do is we want to create what I call a cash flow plan. We want to have a spreadsheet that has all of a place for income, a place for all of the recurring bills, and then a place for all of those escrowed or envelope categories so that you can physically see when you put it, I call it the check register in advance, right? Your profit and loss is your history. It's everything that happened in the last quarter, the last year, and that's great. It's data. But we need to see, in her case, she had a personal assistant and they only worked 10 hours a week, but they were paid every Friday. Well, guess what? There were 3 months in the year where there were 5 Fridays. Okay. She had to know what months of the year that was. Because in the past, when she had a good month, she would spend, pay her personal bills, cover the business, and then go spend something or put it all on a credit card that she had run up. And she never realized that 6 weeks from now, she had a 5 month payroll week, 5 month payroll month. So by taking all of this and spreadsheeting it out, the check register in advance, looking out 12 months, you actually can start to see, because you'll have everything on here, you can see whether you're going to go negative and what you need when you open up the next month. Okay. So this is what I want you choosing, an allocated cash flow view. I want you to physically be able to see before the month happens exactly what you need. If she started with $1,000 in her bank account on February 1 and had $40,000 worth of sales, this is another client, and then we removed all of the expenses, believe it or not, even with $40,000 of sales, okay, this is a restaurant that I had, a little cafe, they were opening the month with negative 4444. There wasn't enough even with $40,000 months. But because we had spreadsheeted it all out for 12 months, I could see exactly what the outlay was, and I could see exactly what needed to be created, and I could see exactly what we had to do. We had to strategically cut something or make more money. It's math, guys, right? It's make more money or cut something. And I think having it in view helps you actually create the strategy. So I talked to you guys briefly about the good budget envelope system. One of the things that is part of my system is separating your recurring bills and having another system for the things that are not every single month. You're spending and the things that are coming. Many of you know this as an escrow approach, right? If you own a home, you make your mortgage payment, many times your insurance and your taxes are built in. And what the bank is doing is taking those dollars and putting it in a separate account and keeping it safe so that when the tax bill comes in, it's paid. And I don't know about you guys, but I love that because one time I had refinanced and I didn't have my taxes included. And I remember the tax bill coming and going like, oh God, right? This is early on before I had an envelope system. With the envelope system, what you're doing is because you're looking at the whole lifestyle, every month you're taking a portion of what the money is and you're putting it into these envelopes. This is a virtual envelope system. Good Budget can be found online and it's free up to 10 envelopes or $80 a year if you want unlimited envelopes. I have clients that have 25 envelopes, 40 envelopes. They like everything sliced and diced. Okay. But what you're doing is you're basically making decisions about how much is going to go into each envelope. So in this client's case, we had groceries and HelloFresh, home stuff, eating out, gas and parking, co-pays, supplements, entertainment, clothing, gifts for not Christmas, gifts for Christmas, auto maintenance, and car taxes. These amounts came to just under $3,300 a month, but they knew it. And every month, no matter what, they put that money into a separate bank account, distributed it into the envelopes, and they didn't put things on their credit card and they didn't spend the bill money. We kept the monies separate. Okay. So here's what happens. I know I'm throwing a lot at you in terms of systems, right? You can certainly read The Path to Profits. It's all spelled out there. You can do it at your pace. It's on Audible. It's on Spotify if you have a premium subscription. But here's what I really want you to do. I feel like there's two camps when I talk to people about money. Those that are in the not at all category, I'm not budgeting at all, right? And many times they're not doing it because they haven't been shown how, they haven't been taught a system, or they've tried it before and it didn't work. They fell off, right? Like many times you'll start a weight loss plan and then you fall off, right? And you're like, oh, Weight Watchers didn't work. Well, it's a system and it may not just be the right system for you, right? But if you learn the skill or you find a new way to look at money and you commit to it and you put some discipline around it, you will see the results. For those of you that are budgeting, here's what I find most people are doing wrong. They actually aren't doing the future planned expenses and breaking things down. They're kind of categorizing, but they're not actually doing a full review. They're looking at the bills with the due dates. They're not looking at the whole picture. They're leaving things out. And I can have people come to me with their spreadsheets and all the things that they're doing, and they're like, oh my God, I totally left that out. Or they're really undergauging the categories because there isn't enough. And you've got to figure out, so you're not repeating the same problems, what to do when there isn't enough. Okay. They don't embrace how empowering it can be to actually do a full focus on the budget. They actually have to move from the mindset of this feels scarce. And I promise you, with the clients that I work with, they move from that scarcity mentality into an empowerment mentality. It's important that you don't miss the step, okay, about the budget. The plan itself, the budget, having it all in view is the GPS. If you want to hit your personal and your business goals, this is actually the thing that will fire off the destination that you want. I know it because I've taught it and I see it over and over and over again when people move out of living client to client, month to month, and they actually separate their accounts, they do strategic allocations of their money, they actually can start taking a regular paycheck. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. Okay. So the key is that also by uncovering what the lifestyle design is, you actually get to set your first revenue goal. The first thing is it can't be less than this. If it's less than this, I'm using credit cards. Does that make sense? But if you're only looking at a portion of the lifestyle, you're not getting a real revenue goal. So my empowerment to you is like, actually know what the total cost of your lifestyle is. And if you're single, we know it's all on you. But if you're in a relationship, if you're married or in a partnership, you get to say, what part of this lifestyle am I responsible for? Many times the household's finances get split, right? But we want to know what part you're responsible for so that you can actually know that's your minimum revenue goal. The Path to Profits method is about setting 5 revenue goals, not one. Okay. The second revenue goal is once you know the minimum, I call that we're opening the container. It's this or something more, but that's my minimum. The second goal is if you don't have an emergency fund, okay, Dave Ramsey teaches 500 for personal emergency fund if you're single and 1,000 if you're married. I disagree. I disagree with Mr. Ramsey. I'm sorry, but if you go to the dentist or you have a pet that has to go into the vet, chances are it's an $1,800 bill. So I don't think that $500, if you're single, is enough. And you're a business owner, it definitely isn't enough. If you have a pet, it definitely isn't enough. So again, I don't like across the board numbers, but if I were to say to you on a personal emergency fund, if you don't live in Florida with a hurricane deductible on your homeowner's insurance, which I now have, I would say 2,500 is your minimum. And in my case, I moved to Florida and now it's no longer 2,500 because I have a $6,000 hurricane deductible on my homeowner's insurance. So our personal emergency fund number changed. Okay. But as a minimum, if you were just to create something to start with 2,500 and know that now you've got that emergency fund for the personal side. So if your minimum revenue goal was $50,000, it would then be revenue goal number two would be $52,500. Not a huge step up. Some people don't get excited because they're like, that doesn't seem sexy enough, Michelle. I want to have big benchmarks. No, you don't. You want to have milestones that you can celebrate and that are achievable, right? So if you have your personal emergency fund, fine, you would move to this step three, or revenue goal three would be your second goal. The third revenue goal should be you actually creating 3 to 6 months of your cash reserves for your business. So that in times of seasonality, in times of wherever maybe you are sick for a couple of weeks, or you need to focus on an aging parent, or whatever, life happens on life's terms, that you have 3 to 6 months of your overhead, which includes your paycheck, by the way, saved in cash reserves. This in itself will create zero panic months about worrying around your budget, your marketing, slowing down, all the things. So if you had your first revenue goal of 50 and then you need to build an emergency fund, you're at 52.5. Let's say that your month is $5,000 to cover everything. Multiply that by three and make your third revenue goal $15,000 more than the second revenue goal. Is this making sense? You're just stacking to actually hit three, your first three revenue goals. The fourth revenue goal is actually prioritizing and paying off debt strategically. Okay. It's prioritizing the high interest credit cards. It's maintaining liquidity, not just covering all the debt. It's creating some balance and breaking the cycle of using the cards to begin with. That in itself is a win. Okay. So you might say, I have this much debt, I'll pay it off over 2 years, or I'll pay it off over 18 months. That's the number that you would put into this fourth revenue goal on the stacking. And then the fifth revenue goal is, if you've done those four things, the next is wealth and expansion, right? Financial freedom. It's creating passive income. It's retirement accounts, making sure that you're maximizing your tax strategy, right? Becky's here. She talks about tax advising, making sure that you're doing the things that actually help you keep more of the money, your hard-earned money in business. So in Allie's case, okay, these were her revenue goals. When we broke it all down, we used a 33% tax savings. We had her revenue goal number one at the 118,884. We had to add for taxes because that's profit. If she's taking that home, it's profit. She's got to pay taxes on it. So her revenue goal number one was 143,634. She did not have a personal emergency fund. She had drained all of her savings. So her second goal for the year was 146. Not a huge jump, but something that felt measurable. And she knew before the dollars came in where it was going to go. Revenue goal number three was creating 3 months of her cash reserves. Her overhead was $10,000 a month, so 30K. We added it. Her third revenue goal is 176. We made a decision that she would pay off her credit card debt over 18 months. So we took the portion of that in the first year. It was 8K that we wanted to put on the credit cards. 185 was her fourth revenue goal. And her fifth revenue goal, she wanted to put $22,000 into retirement. So her floor was 143,634. Her ceiling was 206. And just having that in view helped her get clearer about where her time was going to create the revenue and doing things. And honestly, when we looked at her business, it wasn't functioning in a way that she was going to make that money. So she had to reassess the strategy on what she was going to do and how she was going to create it. Okay. So I think the biggest thing here is helping you unlock that the escrowing of dollars before naming them and then separating them before they come in, or when they come in, separating them before they get spent. Having a full view of the lifestyle is what truly, truly, truly will move you from that financial avoidance, inconsistent months into some sense of control. Okay. So here's the thing. I believe that action is the enemy of thought. So I want to just get you started thinking about the fact that you can make a decision today, that you could actually write down one thing today that could actually improve your money handling. So I want you to write down, if you were to make a decision today to do something that you know would change or potentially improve your money situation, what would it be? I can tell you that you could likely sell something that's laying around. You could cut something, like I talked about the gym membership or something. Maybe it's Audible. You have 8 credits and you haven't listened to any of the books. You could simply turn off Audible. That was me. I'd get like 11 credits and I'd be like, what am I doing? And the third thing is you could stop adding to the problem and make a decision to actually learn to do something different. So I want you to think for yourself, what could you do in the next 7 days to actually have a small win in this area of money? I want you to tell me in the chat, please, because I know we're running out of time. I'm going to look at the chat. I want you to tell me the one thing. Oh, you guys are on a different time zone. I forgot about that. Okay. Anybody want to drop what their one thing will be? Great. Lindsay says, get my numbers, get it in view. Anybody else? Don't be quiet, ladies. Yep. So that's my favorite one. I love selling things. Cut recurring services I don't use. Yes. Cut some things. Just dig in, right? Yes. Cut something. Agreed. I love it. So, again, when you say what you're going to do, you're presented with some information. Action is the enemy of thought. You could stay stuck in your thoughts and be like, well, yeah, she really resonated, or you can do something. And the first thing that you did was you actually said, I'm willing to do something. So do the thing that you said you're going to do. Catherine, great. Get my numbers and then decide what's going to cut. You know that you have something to cut. I love that. So here's the thing. I want you guys to scan the QR code. Not many speakers will say pull out your phones, but please pull out your phones because I want you guys to take advantage of this. This is going to make it easier for you when you download your credit card statements and download your bank statements for the last 90 days. This is a worksheet where you'll actually be able to, it's a plug and play. You'll be able to plug in your numbers and then it will literally add up your lifestyle design for you. And it'll also help you know what categories to use. So if you scan that, I'll email you back the worksheet. Okay. So that you'll have that. I'm going to wait a minute. Again, it'll be on the slideshow. And Lindsay, I think, did you drop it into, oh yeah, you dropped in some of the links as well.
Yes.
So it's there if you don't want to scan. The next thing is, I actually created this because I had quite a few people that they do power hours with me on business strategy, how to like activate more money in their business. And the truth is that if I can get an hour with somebody, definitely if I can get 2 hours, I absolutely can help them walk away with a real result. And so I put this out 2 months ago, and I put this out with a guarantee. $750, spend 2 hours with me. You lay it all out. You share your current numbers, the chaos, the goals, the things that you're trying to do. You let me take a look with my eyes to break it all down, see what's really going on, and then help you strategize some power steps that will help you get more stable, more profitable, it might be strategy in your business and on track. If I get the couple of hours, I promise you, I can help you find more money, save money, and likely make more money. And if I don't, if you do what I say, if I look under the hood and I give you suggestions and you go and implement them and it doesn't work, I will give you back your $750. I'm that confident. I've had 11 people do this in the last 8 weeks and no one has asked for a refund. They've all gone out and won. Okay. So if that interests you, if you want to make that investment in yourself to have somebody else supporting you, you can pull the information. You would be dropping it to me in advance. I would then be coming into a 2 hour call with you and working alongside of you on helping you look to see the blind spots. And then, but most importantly, how can you earn back and have the structure to be able to make that up so it doesn't feel like a risk to you. And then lastly, a lot of the things that I'm talking about are things that I've watched clients that have wanted to do this for so long. They want to take the steps, but they really are stuck. They just stuck emotionally. It's too big of a challenge for them. They really do need support. And I want to encourage you that if that's you, schedule a call with me. I do have a one-on-one program. It's the Savvy Entrepreneurs Financial Foundations program. It's a program where I actually go under the hood for you. You don't, all you have to do is download the statements and I go do all of the analysis. I build out the spreadsheet. I work with you on the debt strategy. I work with you on the setting the 5 revenue goals. And I do that over 8 sessions private. I don't do any of this work group because it's very personal, right? But if you're like, Michelle, I really need somebody in this space and I know it because I'm just not getting to it and I'd like your guidance, schedule a 15-minute call and let's see whether or not this program would make sense for you so that you're not left doing it on your own. Okay. That is it. I feel like this is a full hour, and I am in the group. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if you enjoyed the presentation, please encourage the other women that are in the group to go watch the replay. Um, and I'm here, like I'm an active participant, maybe I think a lot active, because I'm always trying to share tips and tricks that will help you um, be in a place of attracting exactly what it is you want. You're here on purpose and for purpose. But if we're stuck in this money crap, like, and we're stuck in scarcity and we're stuck in the, I'm not sure how to make this happen, or this is where I found myself, let's stop the suffering and let's really come together and fix what isn't working and pull you into a place where you are making an impact with your gifts and doing the work that you're meant to do. That's all I
So
got, Lindsay.
thank you so much, Michelle. You really have shared a lot of powerful wisdom and tools, and you're like that wise auntie in business that we all need in life. So thank you so much for breaking
You're
everything
welcome.
down and making everything seem like what you said about, making everything smaller, achievable milestones. Um, just so that it's more freeing. Like you don't have to be afraid of the numbers, and what a huge gift that you offer and services to I'll say sort through the dirty laundry with us, so
Yeah,
they don't have to do
yeah.
it by themselves. So thank you so much for all that you do and all the value that you bring to our community.
Thank you. It's been beautiful. I met Heather through another organization a couple of years ago, and I had time to spend with her one-on-one. And this is exactly the group that I was looking for, right? So again, like we're in this place of being of service, and so I think that I love what you said earlier. There's everybody has something in this group that they can offer to help someone else. And so it is about us sharing things inside of the group, whether you've got a tip or, something that you've overcome and that you can share that with another woman here. Like we're here, iron sharpens iron, right? And so I love that. And I think that that is how we learn and we shorten our timeline to get to the place that we're meant to go. So thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm going to turn you into a quote. So I put, don't just guess, get the data. The numbers tell the truth. Your emotions might be trying to hide. So,
I
uh,
love that. As an author, you guys, it's so cool because the Path to Profits, I didn't realize, I think my marketing person was like, hey, did you know that when somebody downloads it to Kindle, that when they highlight the quotes in the book, that you can see them. And
mm,
so any Kindle reader can see the quotes that are highlighted. So we created all kinds of quotes that came from the quotes that the readers are highlighting. And the number one quote in the book is, are you profitable in support of your life or at the expense of it?
mm.
That is the number one. But there are so many. And so I would be really jazzed if you guys listen to it or read the book. And again, like you can grab it on any of the platforms. If you're an audio person, do that as well. And then listen, if you want the full experience, this is my 3-day event, right? We're hosting here in Naples. Actually, Heather's coming and she's going to be a contributor. We have the event on the 14th and 15th and 16th. So next, not this weekend, the weekend after, I actually curate you through the entire thing. And the vision and goal piece. I don't do the full money piece in a room with 75 people. That would be really challenging. But being able to connect with other entrepreneurs and then also walk through it. And I'm actually going to be speaking in January.
Yes,
So I'll be at the conference for those of you that are there. Make sure I, get a hug and get a coffee with you would be great. So I appreciate the time with all of you today. And like I said, go back through the slideshow, go back and listen to the replay. And if you need additional support, reach out. I'm here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Um,
Okay.
would any of you ladies in the room be willing to pray us out? Call anybody out, but is there anyone that would be willing to volunteer? Don't be shy. You can just
I
unmute.
will.
Beautiful. Thank you, Desta.
Sure. Father, you're the author and the finisher of our faith, and you know what each and every one of us needs. Give us the ears to hear, Lord, and the power to do what we need to do to be financially well and to be able to bring glory to your name in everything that we do. And I pray that you just send us out with hope in our hearts and joy in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for all that you do. And love you, ladies. We'll see you on the next slide.
Hi,
Great day.
guys.
Bye.